Hi, everybody. Hello. So glad to see so many folks popping into the room. I'm so glad you are all here. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers in the room and all of the people who are aunts or who are mentors or who are step parents or who are anything that you are, where you have ever mothered in any way someone smaller than you or not even necessarily smaller than you. Happy Mother's Day to the sisters of the world. Happy Mother's Day to the whole giant family of Daily Antidote and all of you here who come in and sing with us every day for one beautiful reason or another. Happy Mother's Day also to everybody out there on Facebook Live. Welcome to the Daily Antidote. Glad to see you all here today. Hello to all of the folks in the room, to, of course, our hosts, Joe Jencks and Elise Bryant. Thank you for being here today. To Maria Dunn, thank you for being here today. Aaron Geyer for running the tech, thank you. And hello to Dan in Virginia, Deli in Maryland, Mabel in Massachusetts, and one cinnamon bear. That's Mabel's. Mabel's got her baby right there in the screen. Two babies. Hello to, oh no, wait, Kate in Charlottesville. Hi, Kate, how are you? The K thing threw me. Hello to Becky in Vancouver. Good to see you. And Jane, who's not quite here yet. And hello to Martha in Oregon and Susan in Ohio. Jim Harkless is in the house. Hello, Jim. Nice to see you today. And let's see who that is. Francine. Wait, I know who that is. It's Lynn. Hi, Lynn. How are you? Nice to see you. That's Lynn and maybe Lynn's mom and Lynn's daddy. Hello. Happy Mother's Day to Lynn's mommy. Woo! Hello to Kim. Nice to see you today. Ubuntu Choirs and Carol in Connecticut. Hello, Sheila in Florida. Hi, Dennis. How are you? Nice to see you. Hello to Pete and Janet in Toronto. Nice to see both of you. Hi, Sarah in Texas. Hello, Bob in Massachusetts and your bagel. Hello to Bonnie. I had a bagel for breakfast too. Hello to Bonnie in Idaho and Carolyn in Idaho and Bob in Maryland. Yeah, so actually I will just say I had a bagel for breakfast, and I did mention upon coming into the room that eating a poppy seed bagel before you're going to screen live is maybe not the best food to eat in the morning. Hello to Bob in Maryland. Nice to see you. Jamie and Victoria. Hi, Susan from the DC Labor Course, who sang with us this week. Glad you're here. Hello to Lisa in her car somewhere potentially in Indiana or Kentucky. Hello to Jean in Pittsburgh. Arlene in California. Hello. Hello to Spice and Liza. Hello to Nancy's Irish Cow in Washington State. Hello to Jim in New York City and Kathy in upstate New York. Trish in Victoria. Hello to Norris. Nice to have you back with us today. Hello to Kevin in New Hampshire. Hello, and Kevin, tell your mom Happy Mommy's Day from us. Hello to Ida in Poland with the whole mommy crew. I see Natalia and I see Ewa and I see Whitby and Ida all in Poland. Hello, gang. Nice to have you with us today. Hello to, oh, and there's Bugumi. Hello, but happy Mother's Day to Ewa and to Natalia. Hello to Sue. Sean, nice to have you with us today, posing us some numbers. Hello, Annette in California. Hello, Deborah in Kentucky. Hello, Christiana, maybe in Seattle. Hello to Michelle and Steve Schuster. Nice to see you today. And Jane in Silver Spring. And hello, Fred of the DC Labor Course. Glad you're here today. Hello, Aloysius in Mass. And Sid, hello. Nice to have you with us today. Kathy in Virginia. Hello. Nice to have you today. Happy Mama's Day. And to Storm and to other folks who are not on screen today, but who are here, Karen and Cricket and Anne and Joni and Jane and Isabel. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. So glad you're here. We're so excited to sing with you today. And again, hello and happy Mother's Day to everybody out there on Facebook Live. So we have a nice, exciting day today on our last day of our Labor Heritage Week with the Labor Heritage Foundation, Joe Jencks and Elise Bryant. I'm going to turn it over to them. Really, really glad again that we're here.
Thank you, Joe. What a pleasure to be here and working this week with the Labor Heritage Foundation and Carpe Diem Arts to connect this collaboration. And Elise Bryant with us, the executive director of the Labor Heritage Foundation and also the director and founder of the DC Labor Chorus, among other things. So glad you're with us, Elise. Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here, Joe. And it's good to see all of you. And I saw some of you last night, and thank you for coming for our concert. And we've got a great, great concert coming up. So glad to hear Maria's here.
Yeah. Maria Dunn joining us from Edmonton, Alberta. And so grateful to have her with us today on Mother's Day. Maria is an extraordinary singer-songwriter, activist, advocate, musician, performer, deeply connected to a lot of communities across North America and Scotland and beyond. And I'll turn it over to her because she's got a whole lot to share with us today.
Thank you so much, Joe and Elise and Jojo and Aaron, everyone, for making this happen. It's a real privilege to be here, and happy Mother's Day to everyone to whom it applies, and all of you who've mothered, as Joe so beautifully said, Jojo. And I'm going to sing the song that's in the chat. The lyrics are in the chat. I'm wearing my Troublemaker t-shirt, and I also want to say, before I sing, I'd like to acknowledge I'm here on Treaty 6 territory, Amiskwitsiwaskayakan, which means Beaver Mountain House in the Cree language, and the colonial name is Edmonton, Alberta. This is the historic and current gathering place of many Indigenous peoples: Cree, Dene, Anishinaabe, Blackfoot, Stoney Nakoda, Saulteaux, Métis, and Inuit. And as an immigrant settler here, I recognize that I have benefited from a colonial system that removed people forcibly from the land before and after Treaty 6 was signed in 1876. And as a result, it's my responsibility, understanding this history now, and as a treaty person, to actively work towards conciliation and equity with all my relations here in my artistic discipline, in my community, and in my life. Thank you for allowing me to say that this morning.
Thank you, Maria.
Troublemaker. I've been singing this song for 20 years now. It was inspired, it came out of a residency that I did with the Edmonton District Labor Council in 2001. I was reeled into the labor arts movement here in Edmonton by a mentor and friend now, Don Bozek, who's a videographer and has worked for years with Banner Theatre in the UK, doing something called video ballads, taking the real voices of workers being interviewed about their lives and putting it together with music inspired by those interviews. And then we come back and we do a live show where the audience, what I love about this form is that the audience gets to hear those workers speaking in their own voices, in their own accents, in their own beautiful, eloquent words when they're speaking about what is so important to them in their lives. And so I've been privileged to do that kind of work with Don Bozek for about 20 years. And so Troublemaker came out of that initial residency, and also looking at all the folks around me doing tremendous work in the community, often being called Troublemaker for pushing back or pushing in a certain direction or saying things that people didn't want to hear. And so this song is to honor them, and it's also a song that I have changed up year after year, depending on the rally, depending on the current issue. So it's kind of evolved over the years, and it's a great song because we have quite cold weather here for most of the year. This song I have sung on the Alberta legislature steps many, 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 many times. And it's a great song to be able to keep your hands in your mittens or your pockets too as well. So for any of the rest of you that are frequently outdoors on picket lines or rallies or whatever in cold climes, this again is something that is designed for that. So please sing along with me. Your part. The refrain between verses is troublemaker, troublemaker. That's the shortest, simplest, and then sometimes I go around a couple times. Troublemaker, 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 troublemaker. And then you can get really fancy and join me on the troublemaker's gotta go, which comes before that. And if you're really on it, you can join me on that first, they call me troublemaker, of the verse that it comes around. And when we get a whole bunch of voices on that, that is powerful. So they call me troublemaker, 'cause I'm finally saying no. I've been working hard and yeah, my pay is still so low. But when I spoke my mind, they said, troublemaker's gotta go, troublemaker, troublemaker. They call me a greedy worker, 'cause I want my rollback back. My employer's time of need, I tried to help them get on track. And now I ask to share in the profits, they say. Troublemaker's gotta go, troublemaker, Troublemaker, they call me troublemaker, 'cause I want the same as you. They're afraid I love someone I'm not supposed to, and when we seek the right to marry, they say, troublemaker's gotta go. Troublemaker, 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 troublemaker. They call me scaremonger, 'cause I won't agree to someone making profits from the healthcare that we need. And when I ask who's making the money, they say, troublemaker's gotta go. Troublemaker, troublemaker. They call me troublemaker, 'cause I'm gonna demonstrate. Make sure treaty rights don't take a backseat to world trade. But as I block their pipeline, they say, troublemaker's gotta go. Troublemaker, let's hear ya. Troublemaker, troublemaker, troublemaker. They call me an idealist, 'cause I wanna close the gap. The poor are getting poorer in our country's ample lap. So next time I cast my vote, I'll say, troublemaker's gotta go. Troublemaker, 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 troublemaker. You can drag out that ending as long as you like.
Yeah. Thank you, sister. Woo!
Thank you.
Wow, what a great song, Maria. Thanks so much for sharing that with us today. So I know that Edmonton and Treaty 6 land is, pretty far north, but I have to note that here west of Chicago, we got snow last night. So when you were talking about, for those of you that live in cold climes and need to do, actions where you need to dress up and keep your hands warm, I was like, yeah, that would have been last night if you were in Chicago. It was pretty amazing. And I will also add that I join you today in DeKalb, Illinois, from the ancestral homelands of the Ottawa and the Potawatomi people. So you've got a brand new album out, Maria, Joyful Banner Blazing.
Yes.
It just came out.
I can even do the 3D.
Nice.
Did any of you watch SCTV? It was a Canadian thing. Maybe you didn't see it, but they used to do 3D by doing this into the camera.
Sounds like sort of red-green level technology.
Second City TV, so there is a Chicago connection, I think. Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara and John Candy. So anyway, some of our Canadian comedic icons.
Nice. So how did you, tell us a little bit more about how you got into this intersection of music and songwriting and labor arts and cultural work? And
it definitely started with exploring my own family history through song. And so going back and thinking about my grandfather's life. He was a teenager when he signed up and served with the British Army in World War I. And in thinking about his life, and one of the first songs I wrote, Shoes of a Man, came from that. And so that talked about his life as a soldier and also his experience coming back from the war and being very disillusioned and getting involved in the labor movement and in helping elect a labor candidate in Glasgow, Scotland. So as in my 20s, sort of as someone who traveled and spent a fair bit of time visiting, getting the chance to visit with my grandparents as an adult, to kind of listen to them talk about their lives. I think that was kind of my first awareness of my family history, because growing up here in Canada, my parents very much brought me up, and since it's Mother's Day, that gratitude to your parents very much brought me up with an awareness of social justice and what was important, but it came much more from a living faith, a religious perspective, and less from a labor movement perspective. Although I would say there's a big moment in 1986 in Edmonton where I heard from the pulpit the priest telling us to boycott Gainer's meat products because there was a very unjust labor strike going on at that time. And there was a Franciscan church not far from the meatpacking plant where this very unjust strike was happening. The workers were being treated very poorly by a very arrogant owner. And the Franciscans actually at one point dressed in their monk Franciscan robes and carried a cross to the picket line. So at some point, those things started to connect for me, and writing those songs about my own family history. It was wonderful to hear Peter and Steve Jones yesterday. I tuned in later, but realizing that Peter wrote that song Kilkenny, Ireland, which when I first heard that, it's an amazing song, but I was kind of bummed out when I first heard it, because I had written a song from my family's letters from the Irish famine years and their early years, some of them who emigrated to New York in 1849 and wrote back to my great-great-grandfather in Ireland, and telling him what life was like in New York. So I had written a song from those letters and was very pleased with myself at how novel I thought this was, and then heard Peter Jones' Kilkenny, Ireland, which is such a stunning song. So that's some of just my background history, knowing my exploration of labor movement and working people started with understanding my own history. And then from there, reading other stories, writing some songs. I wrote a song called The Lynn Gann Strike after reading a little snippet in a Canadian history book on solidarity of Scottish miners who had traveled to Cape Breton. They'd been lured to come and work in Cape Breton, and they realized on the boat over that they were actually being brought in to break a strike of Cape Breton miners, and this was in 1882. And by the time they arrived on the shores of Nova Scotia, they had decided they were not going to go to work. And I was so moved by that solidarity of those men who had traveled so far for this mining work. That was probably one of the first songs that I wrote about someone else. And from there, my friend Don Bozek that I mentioned earlier became he heard me performing by accident. At the last minute, I was invited to perform a 20-minute set at a labor cabaret because I knew the sound technician, and someone had called in sick, and so he said, well, let's try Maria. I think she might be able to do it. And so I remember thinking, do I have 20 minutes worth of songs about workers? And sure enough, I did. And that was before I was even sort of formally reeled in. And so some of the leaders in our labor movement heard me at that cabaret. My friend Don Bozek, who does so much labor arts work, heard me and reeled me in, and he and I began collaborating on these video ballads, as I mentioned. And so it's been this 20-year beautiful relationship. I'm so grateful to the labor community here in Edmonton for commissioning songs from me, for also Don Bozek and historian Catherine Cole for inviting me to be part of these community-based projects, interviewing workers, taking their stories, being invited to turn them into songs. I'm very, very grateful to be trusted with those stories and to meet so many workers. We always do a feedback loop where we invite the workers themselves to a show, whether it's the one we did about the GWG, the women's clothing factory, or the one I did with Asani, inspired by Dorothy MacDonald Hyde of the Fort Mackay First Nation, a real leader in Indigenous and environmental rights in the 1980s, and Packing Town, about the meatpacking industry in Northeast Edmonton, including the Gaynor strike I mentioned, and the very first one, which is called Troublemakers. So we have always had this feedback loop where we have invited the workers or the community members who gave us the interviews. They're the first people to see the work as we're developing it, and we have this feedback loop, and it's just
That's great.
I feel so privileged to meet people right on the front lines of whatever they're doing, relating that story. Sometimes it's many years later, but there's just something so precious about their willingness to share their stories.
That's marvelous. In honor of the fact that it's Mother's Day, I wanted to ask you to sing another one of your songs, When the Grandmothers Meet.
Yes, grandmothers. This song comes from the Stephen Lewis Foundation Grandmothers to Grandmothers campaign in Grandmothers in Solidarity here in North America with grandmothers in Africa. And Stephen Lewis was the UN envoy on HIV/AIDS. So he was raising the alarm that countries around the world needed to do much more in solidarity with people living through that. And so grandmothers in Africa raising their grandchildren because their adult children are dying of AIDS. And Stephen Lewis did so much work around that. At the same time, this song was very much inspired by women all around the globe and grandmothers all around the globe. In particular, Mari Vornanoren, Big Mary of the Songs, and the work that she did around land rights in the 1880s on the Isle of Skye. She was the bard of the Land League. The work that she and the women of the Braes did is the reason why your former president cannot easily expropriate land around his Scottish golf course. So this is a Scottish Gaelic chorus, and I'll just sing one line at a time so you get the chance. Hee-dee-ah-ha-da-vo, 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 hee-dee-oh, short one. Hee-dee-oh, ha-da-hoo-oh, ha-da-hoo-oh. We put it all together. Hee-dee-ah-ha-da-vo, hee-dee-ah-ha-da-vo, hee-dee-oh, ha-da-hoo-oh. Hee-dee-ah-ha-da-vo, hee-dee-ah-ha-da-vo, hee-dee-oh, ha-da-hoo-oh. Old woman, don't you know, your thoughts should ramble. Old woman, don't you know, your voice should tremble. Just wait until they see you dancing in the street. Just wait until they hear you singing to your heartbeat. When the grandmothers meet, when the grandmothers meet. Oh, I'll be in that number when the grandmothers meet. In 1882 on Skye the laird's men came to shift the crofters once again their bloody aim. Armed with only songs, their birthright and their sticks, the women of the Braes barred police from their midst. When the grandmothers sing, when the grandmothers sing, will you add your voice when the grandmothers sing? Hee-dee-oh-ha-da-bo, hee-dee-oh-da-bo, hee-dee-oh-ha-da-hoo-oh. Hee-dee-oh-ha-da-bo, hee-dee-oh-da-bo, hee-dee-oh-ha-da-hoo-oh. In another Caledonia, grandmothers stand. Once more they are defending native land. A peaceful occupation to remind those who forgot. 6 nations never sold it, it should never have been bought. When the grandmothers speak, when the grandmothers speak, will your heart be open when the grandmothers speak? Hee-dee-oh-ha-da-bo, hee-dee-oh-da-bo, hee-dee-oh-ha-da-hoo-oh. Hee-dee-oh-ha-da-bo, hee-dee-oh-da-bo, hee-dee-oh-ha-da-hoo-oh. They see their children die of AIDS, their grandchildren mourn. Family in tatters, village fabric torn. They've already labored years to till and to sow. Now they're holding up the sky over death's relentless toll. When the grandmothers dance, when the grandmothers dance, will you move in time when the grandmothers dance? The earth heaved a sigh under Haiti's feet. Too many hearts crushed in dust and concrete, while the news chews its violence too rapidly to hear the sound of women singing to drive away the fear. When the grandmothers sing, when the grandmothers sing, will you add your voice when the grandmothers sing? Hee-dee-oh, 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 you-oh. Hee-dee-oh, 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 you-oh. Hee-dee-oh, 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 you-oh. Hee-dee-oh, 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 you-oh.
Yeah. Woo-woo. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for singing. It's so great to see everyone.
So great to have you here, Maria. Again, Maria has a brand new album out. I do a feature on it. I have a monthly radio show called My Highway Home on Folk Music Notebook. Folkmusicnotebook.com is where you can find that. And this month my guest is Maria Dunn. So if you want a deeper dive with Maria, you can tune in this evening at 6 p.m. Eastern or 11 p.m. Eastern. Work backward or forward to find your own time zone. And it will rebroadcast on Wednesday at noon Eastern. It's called My Highway Home. It's my radio show on Folk Music Notebook. But part of why we're here this week is to celebrate Labor Heritage Week and celebrate the fact that coming up is the Great Labor Arts Exchange. And Elise, I wondered if you would be willing to sing one of the sort of stalwart hymns of the Great Labor Arts Exchange for us. This is Elise Bryant, Executive Director of the Labor Heritage Foundation, and someone who is just at the center of so many amazing things that go on in this world.
Thank you, Joe. I'm also the self-appointed president of the North American branch of the Joe Jencks fan club. So if Joe asked me to sing a song, I got it. John Fromer brought it to the Arts Exchange. It's actually an adaptation of an African-American spiritual song that was adapted by Bruce Thomas. May the work that I have done speak for me. May the work that I have done speak for me. If I fall short of thy goal, someone else will take a hold. May the work that I have done speak for me. May the marches I've been on speak for me. May the marches I've been on speak for me. If I fall short of my goal. If I fall short of my goal, someone else will take a hold. May the marches I've been on speak for me. Last one. May the children I help raise speak for me. May the children I help raise speak for me. If I fall short of my goal, someone else will take a hold. May the children I help raise speak for me.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Can we sing once more, May the Work That I Have Done?
Sure. May the work that I have done speak for me. For all those who've gone before us. May the work that I have done speak for me. The ones on whose shoulders we stand. If I fall short of my goal, someone else will take a hold. May the work that I have done speak for me.
Thank you so much, Elise. The first time I came to the Arts Exchange, I heard you lead that song in a room full of people. And it was so powerful for me because, in the spirit of the Zipper song and in so many songs of the labor movement, the civil rights movement, the church, there's so many places, the work songs, the field songs, where you change one word or two words and you keep going. And I watched a room full of people sing that song for more than 10 minutes. As people would say, may the tears that I have shed, may the losses I have grieved, may the love that I have known, whatever words came in, and it's an amazing thing. So thank you so much for your leadership, not just with the Labor Heritage Foundation, but with the DC Labor Chorus, with arts and theater and creative organizing all over North America. You are a national treasure in my eyes, and I think I share that idea with many, many people. You are a gift to the world, and thank you so much for all the ways in which you take leadership in such a loving and powerful way.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. And
Maria Dunn.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, Elise.
No. I was just going to say thank you.
Yeah. Maria Dunn, thank you so much for joining us from Treaty 6 land, from Edmonton. And Joe Rossi, thank you so much for all of your leadership in the daily antidote of song. For those that want to contribute to this, you can make donations through Carpe Diem Arts. And thanks again to the Labor Heritage Foundation for helping fund this particular week of the daily antidote of song. If you want more information about the Great Labor Arts Exchange, please go to the Labor Heritage Foundation website. There's information there. And Maria Dunn, maybe you could just lead us out with one more Hiri Horivo.
Oh, okay. I changed guitars, but let me get there. I'll just do it in whatever key happens. Hiri Horivo, Hiri Horivo, Hiri Horivo, one more time. Hiri Horivo, Hiri Horivo, Hiri Horivo, and one more time. Hiri Horivo, Hiri Horivo, Hiri Horivo.
Thank you so much, Maria. And congratulations on that beautiful new album, Joyful Banner Blazing. Go to Maria's website. You can find out more about that. And thanks, everybody. And Joe Rossi, we'll turn it back over to you. Elise, thanks so much again for all your support this week.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Joe Jencks, Maria Dunn, and Elise Bryant. So let's all give it up for Joe Jencks for a week. Joe Jencks was the Joe Rossi behind the scenes this entire week on every level, and I love it, Joe. Thank you so much. It was really great to have all of that energy coming in from you. And Elise Bryant in the house, love it when you sing, and hope you can sing with us again soon. Thank you so much. And Maria, that was gorgeous, and I can't wait to hear the new album. Super, I'm very moved today, and actually some words came up that I thought were really useful. Joe Jencks said powerful several times, and I'm going to say there was a lot of power in this room today, really easily seen by the number of people that I saw emoting in some way or another. There was joy, there was energy, there were tears. And that's always a really amazing sign that we've been touching each other in a way that's really important, and especially during this time when we're isolated. And then also, Joe, you used the words of Elise being a gift too. And I would say that as a parting thought today, yes, Elise, you are a major gift. Joe, you are a gift. Maria, you are a gift. Folks in this room, you are a gift. And let's maybe take today to think about the women in your life, mothers, aunts, stepmothers, sisters, whoever it is. I'm actually going to shout out the dads who had to be both mom and dad to their kids. Like, let's just shout out and think of all the people who are gifts to us in some way or another, or the folks that we know have looked up to us, and reach out to them today. It's a lonely time during the pandemic, and even people one step removed that you might not usually think of might appreciate hearing today that you're thinking about how they contributed to your raising in some way or another. So I want to thank everybody again for being here. Enormous hugs and loves to all of you. And I'm going to say goodbye to everybody out there on Facebook Live. Thank you, gang, so much for joining us. And we can't wait to see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow, we are starting a fabulous, amazing, incredible Next Generations Week. We will have all artists under 30-something. And we will be singing with, I think, 5 out of the 7 are new to us. and hope very much. We've seen a lot of the Amadons in this room, and maybe this week we're going to see a different sort of an Amadon. So please join us this week for Next Generations Week. Can't wait to sing with you all then.